Camera number 135 of 365 is the Nikon F801. It's an autofocus camera and all the functions require batteries to operate, so let's go ahead and put some batteries in. So the camera takes 4 AA batteries and they're housed in this cradle, which again gets put into the handle of the or grip of the camera and then screwed back into place. The only other thing on the base, as you can see, is just this tripod mount. Okay, almost there. That's it. So while we're on the front of the camera, we have on this occasion my 28mm autofocus 2.8D lens. And to take the lens off, we depress the shutter release, and he says, that's the, beg your pardon. Just shows you how frequently I use this camera. It's that button. Let's press that button. There we go. So that's the lens release. You can see the little lugs and the lug that drives the motor. That's the aperture preview button. And then below that we have an autofocus lock, which I think is really well placed actually, because I can use my little finger, being right-handed, and I can press, I can't really show you that, upside down, there we go. I can press that with my little button, so I can keep that, little finger rather, keep that in, and I can keep the focus locked. And then on the other side, apart from the lens release, we have a little port that allows us to connect a remote. And then below the lens release is the dial that allows us to choose from manual focus, single focus, or continuous focusing. Okay, so let's just put the lens back on. Turning to the top plate and the liquid crystal display. And so all the functions, you have to go to the liquid crystal display and either press a button and rotate to the command dial. But let's just turn the camera on. Excuse me. And then we can also have audible beeps if we want. I tend to have those off. While we're here, still we have exposure compensation button, which allows us to choose up to 3, 4, 5 stops, plus or minus. So that's quite a lot of exposure compensation there. And then a mid-roll rewind button that has to be pressed in conjunction with the button over here on the left. The film is advanced as well, automatically, and then it will automatically get rewound back into the camera if it's finished. Turning to the other side, we have these 2 buttons here. The top one is our focus mode, which can be toggled between matrix or center weighted. And then this other button allows us to set our timer, and we can choose various increments of time. Looks like it goes up to 30 seconds. We can choose. There we go. So the other dial, we have 4 options. So we can choose our ISO manually, even though there may be DX coding in the camera. Let's just check that is the case. There we go. There's the DX coding sensors to do that. And so we can choose our own ISO. Our drive mode goes from single, continuous high, and then mode button allows us to choose our program, aperture priority. We can go manual, we can go program high, program D. I didn't check that one. Let me just check the manual. I do apologise, I should have checked that beforehand. So PD apparently is dual program, so it's a combination of the program and the high program. So the camera will detect and we'll use either of those accordingly. So meanwhile, after that we can go to shutter and go back to aperture then. Pressing the final button is multiple exposure, and we can select up to 9 exposures on one frame. We have a hot shoe, no built-in flash. On the back side of the camera we have a slider switch that allows us to lock our exposure. So that's different to focus, so we can lock it focus and lock exposure, and then a little button that will light the liquid crystal display, but apparently mine doesn't work, so there we go. Okay, that's it. We mentioned the film chamber. Yep, we've done that, and that's it. So that is camera number 135 of 365, the Nikon F801.